Now let's turn our attention to our first guest. He is Doug Slinker. He is the founder and owner of SLINKFIT, which is a sports performance and fitness facility in Mission. He is a nationally certified strength coach with more than 20 years experience in sports preparation, athletic training, and performance-based fitness. And welcome to the show, Doug.
Good to be back again.
Yeah, thanks for coming back. Now, you write an article in Kansas City Sports and Fitness each month, and in our April issue, you start off your article with a very interesting statement that I don't really think most of us are really kind of aware of, and that is sitting in a desk chair all day is bad for your health, and that inactivity can put you in danger. I mean, you know, in the old days, it was backbreaking to do all the manual labor and things like that, and everybody thought, oh, this is great stuff. Now we can sit in a chair and we can punch the keys on the keyboard, or, you know, the George Jetson thing where you're just pushing one button. Right. Right. But there's problems with that we as individuals face. What are some of those things? How does what we do these days affect us?
Well, like you said, the pendulum has swung completely the other way. We used to be a society in which work was very common. We were very physical in what we did. And then we get to a situation where the majority of people are sitting. And so this inactivity has become a problem, both in terms of metabolic, meaning that we're not burning calories. We're very sedentary, and that has a negative effect. And then biomechanically, we look at the effects of sitting in terms of what it does to our joints and muscles.
Now, you know, some of the side effects that can be associated with the lack of activity because you work in a desk job are obviously obesity because you're not burning those calories. Right. Depression is one of them. Right. How does that fit in, and then fill us in on some of the other ones too?
Well, people that exercise understand the endorphins, this kind of a rush, like the runner's high, it's called sometimes.
Sure.
Those are very important to our mental aspect as well as our physical. So with that lack of exercise, we don't get those, and you head the other direction, and you know, depression can be a problem.
Yeah, and you know, the pressures of a job can add to that as well. Gosh, I'm stuck here. Right. I have to do this darn thing every day. That kind of stuff. Diabetes also. Right. Well, that obviously ties in with the obesity issue.
Exactly. Yeah. It's you know, body composition and you know, having that extra fat is well documented as being a you know, problematic and a precursor to diabetes.
Definitely. And the risk of cardiovascular disease, I would guess that goes along
hand in hand
with the obesity, and then the same idea with the depression, and that, you know, you're just sitting there and you're not doing anything. And then cancer. Right. Cancer. Same
thing. You know, it's movement. We're meant to move. We're meant to be active, and certain cancers have been linked with inactivity. So
really,
you know, they're all bundled together. It's all part of a total health package.
Okay, so for all of us desk jockeys out there, to avoid these problems, what kind of things should we be doing to break up our day to you know, keep ourselves from falling into those types of situations?
Commonly, it's thought that if you go and exercise after a full day of sitting, you're okay, and it counteracts it completely. And true, it does help, but any movement you can put in the middle of the day, even things such as taking the stairs, getting up, walking around, whenever you can on break, even standing up and taking a phone call or during a meeting, those type of things count. So it's part of not just exercise, it's activity. We want to be active, we want to move.
Right.
So it's getting up during the course of the day and taking a walk within your office building or using the steps, all the things that people hear. But, you know, posture has always been a big thing for me, and I know that that's an important thing as you're sitting at a desk too. What advice do you have for people in that area?
Well, it goes with the movement as well. The muscles that help us hold our position, our correct position, are stabilizer muscles. And if we put them in the same position and hold that, they're going to fatigue. They're going to get tired. And so then we compensate, and the muscles that are meant for movement will kind of take over that job, and then we get into a position where we've got beginnings of a bad posture, and that can begin and they can go in that direction unless you counteract it. So we want to get up and move, not only for the metabolic benefit of it, but also to give our muscles a chance to come out of that position and stretch, move, and then reset. Then you can work for a little bit longer. But, you know, usually it's advisable every 20 to 40 minutes, get up and move.
I don't know. A lot of these people at jobs these days, I don't know that they work a little bit longer. They probably get up and move and go to the coffee and then just kind of hang out and talk, and talk. But no, I know what you're saying. One of the things that I liked is in your article is you said that fidgeting can help with that too. I'm a fidgeter. I have to spend a lot of time in the chair, but there's a little bit of fidgeting that goes on. That
it counts.
At least I'm burning a couple of calories, maybe over the course of an hour.
Yeah, circulation calories. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, in the article, you talk about some of the problems that we can have from sitting at our jobs, including, and I'm going to just list one of them here, and you take it from there.
Okay.
Posterior pelvic tilt.
Okay. Well, that is simply, if you look at someone from the side, we can see in a side view whether their pelvis their hips are tilted down or tilted back. And that's the base of everything that stands or that's stacked above that. So sometimes people complain of neck pain. We can trace that back to their lower back, which sits on their pelvis. So if the tabletop is tilted, then the stack, which is the vertebrae, have to compensate. And so that compensation produces some of the problems.
So how's Brenda doing?
I was going to say, as he's talking, I'm trying to sit up
She's
and
looking
make
good.
sure.
It's somehow been talking about
she's,
this.
Only because I was listening, I was slumping before.
She knows all the TV tricks. I remember seeing broadcast news, and they said sit on your shirt or sit on your coat or something like that, so that your shoulders look good. You know all those tricks, so you're going to have to teach us some of those. Lower back, and I'm not even sure how to pronounce the word flexion. Is it flexion?
Right.
First of all, what is flexion?
Well, that's the forward motion. And when we're talking about the lower back, that's the rounding or the flattening of the lower back curve. Okay. And again,
it's supposed to be curved.
It is. There's a natural curve. You don't want it excessively flat or excessively curved. There's a natural curve to each part of our spine. And
why is our spine curved? Is it actually
it's a
it makes us better?
Yeah, it does. It does. We're an engineering marvel, and the spine is very resilient if we treat it well, and sometimes even if we don't, it still hangs in there and does a good job for us. But that curve is for force production and force reduction, and
meaning it from an athletic standpoint. What is force production?
We transfer through jumping. Anytime you're ground based and you're doing activity with your hands, you're going through the core and going through the back. A baseball swing, an overhead serve in volleyball, all those things, rotational or in straight line, whether you're pushing something or pulling something with your arms when your feet are on the floor, such as blocking and tackling football.
We are talking with Doug Slinker from SLINKFIT, which is a sports performance and fitness facility in Mission. Now, one of the other things that you mentioned in there, we talked about lower back flexion. What about upper back flexion? Is it along the same lines as that?
That becomes more visible.
Really?
You can really tell that. And that's when somebody mentions, like, you have good posture, you don't have good posture. It usually shows there. That's what's called the T-spine, thoracic spine, or the part of our back that our ribs connect on. That is very obvious when you see someone with a kyphosis position. That's that rounded upper back.
Okay.
And that's when we talk about the slouching position at the computer, and that's a big problem, and can lead to shoulder issues as well. That's what people usually want to address, and we'll take that in consideration when we try to counteract these things. But we also, like I said, look at the base and see what's going on there. So when we do these corrections for that mid back, they have more chance of staying in place.
And then shoulders elevated and protracted.
Right.
What is, show us. I mean, we've got TV here.
Okay.
So, for those of you that are watching on TV, what shoulders elevated is what?
Like a shrug.
It's a shrug. Okay.
It's a stress response. These muscles tense up.
Yeah.
We're not only asked to sit at a desk, we're given more work now with the way things are. And so that's a common response. And the muscles that elevate the shoulder are much more powerful than the ones that depress or depress the scapula or the shoulders. And so we've got a position where our shoulders are up and then they're protracted forward. And that kind of is a result of this whole effect of this base changing and this mid back that hunches forward. So
and that's the looking at the monitor situation
Exactly.
that you are doing, that kind of a thing where your head is shrunk down, your shoulders seem to be higher, and you're staring at that particular thing at your monitor.
Ergonomics become an issue too.
Yeah.
In that too.
Yeah.
There's things you can do to help that.
And forward head position, is that along the same lines as the shoulder elevated thing? Your head's going to move forward in front of your shoulders.
It's a compensation response to those other things that we just talked about. Once those happen, the head's just going to come forward as a way to balance over that center line that's been changed.
And these are the things that we're all doing on a common basis, sitting in front of our computers or sitting at our desks. working away, whether we're an accountant working on the computer or working on paper or whatever like that, those things like that,
Very common.
that are going to cause us problems down the road or immediately. One of the other things you say is internally rotated forearms. Is that
Right.
what is that just the hunch, the same kind of hunch where your shoulders are moved forward?
It's a continuation of that whole
Really?
process. Yeah, a lot of that is involved with the position of the hands
Keyboard?
on the keyboard.
Really?
We're, where we are, and we have to turn in to position our hands to do the typing and things like that.
I see.
You mean our hands weren't naturally formed to do that?
Yeah, amazing.
That's what we all do. Yeah.
What happened with that? And now they're making it a lot easier because they can put it on those iPads and things like that, so you can
Yeah,
just
which
kind of
is
do
causing
touch-
its own problems. I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I'll bet it is.
Yeah,
Well,
so you-
well, yeah, we talked last week about the readers and things like that, and there's a blue light or something like that in it that can keep you awake and keep you alert. That's in there. I didn't know that, but Dr. McIntosh was talking about it last week, and she said there's a light inside of those things. Now, and then short and weak hip flexors. What's a hip flexor?
Hip flexors, that is the muscle that attaches the leg to the body, right there at the hip joint on the front side of the body.
Mm-hmm.
That sitting position puts you in a flexed position. Those muscles will shorten when they're not lengthened. When they're put in that sitting position, they don't need to lengthen. So
Right.
they'll adapt by becoming shorter. Then you lose the ability to extend the hip, which is be tall. When you stride, push the leg behind you.
Right.
So that leads to the posterior pelvic tilt and all the chain of events that happen from that. So we really have to look at the whole effect of the sitting and not just a part of it, because that's really the way to correct it and address the issues that come with it.
Now, I would assume that the people that come to you are really coming to you for fitness purposes and things like that, but I'm sure you look at this as well and ask them what they do for a living,
Right.
and that you can probably see things in that where, you can tell what type of a job that they have. With some of those people, what kinds of programs do you put in place for them in order to help them out? Obviously, other than telling them get up and move while you're at work.
Well, it's a very common problem, like you mentioned, and so what we're looking at is putting on a full body movement or full body program using total movement, full range of motion, and using the rotation as well. And so we're restoring function first, and then we're giving them exercise. So we extend the hip flexors, make the core strong. We talk about that almost every show it comes up. It is important.
Well, the
It's
core is like the
everything.
most important thing,
It's
isn't it?
where it all begins. It's
Yeah.
our hub. It's our center point. And so we
Everything
really-
happens from the core,
exactly.
really.
And problems that occur at the arms and legs from that are sometimes related to the core. So we can
I would
fix that. We fix
I
the
would
other
assume
movements.
even those poker players, and somehow poker is a sport, and I don't quite get it, but I would assume even they have to have their cores strong to give that fake look or
There you
something
go. There
like
you
that,
go.
and
Core
to be
training.
confident.
Core training for poker. I think we got something new.
There we go.
New niche
It's
there.
a new business. Sign up for core training for poker.
Well, I'm curious just because for a long time I sat at a computer and that was my job, but now my job is more flexible and I have to, I go out and find restaurants to set my laptop in or my iPad or whatever. You can't really fix your ergonomics in those kind of situations. So what's the best way for people that are real mobile with their jobs to adapt to each situation?
Well, it's just a matter of understanding what your position should be, and trying to put yourself in the best position. If you're forced to do some work from a countertop or from a restaurant table, make the best of it. Kind of listen to your body and still make those same rules apply. If you're in that position for longer than 20 minutes or, like I said, 20 to 40 minutes, it's time to get up and move and change position.
Is that the
get
rule?
up.
That's the rule of thumb.
Rule of thumb, yeah. It's pretty.
It's just
pretty good
I mean,
guideline.
you should feel it though. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
Start
get up
to.
and you need to stretch and things like that, that's an indication,
Right.
certainly.
But the thing is, we push through that, and that's where problems
Yeah,
occur. If you listen
yeah.
to your body, you'll understand that those stabilizer muscles are tired, and they're saying, I can't hold this position anymore. And so what happens is the ones that are assisting that, or they become assistants that are normally meant for mobility, start to create these adhesions, and that is where people get this knots in their upper back and these problems. And then they come to exercise, and they go, oh, that really hurts. So then we have to back up and address, like, well, you've got some adhesions. We need to do some myofascial release type things, foam roller, that kind of pre
Just kind of
exercise
loosen
thing. Yeah, to
up
get
what's
get
going
that
on
tissue
inside of you.
quality back, and then
Mhm.
we can start working on the other things mechanically and
Mhm.
strengthening and correction.
Yeah. Now, obviously, in this economy, hanging on to a job is really important. So even if you've done it for 20 years or something like that, you want to hang on to that job. So what kinds of things should bosses out there be doing for their employees, for example, to suggest, that they stay healthier, because that's going to benefit them in the job as well. Now, I will mention Dr. McIntosh, who's one of our regulars here on the show as well, doesn't have a receptionist, and she's got a chiropractic practice, but she keeps her people moving all the time, and that's a part of her goals for her office is that.
That's a great approach.
Is that. So, but, what kinds of things, in the regular office setting where you've got the cubes and, all that kind of stuff, are there things that the bosses should be saying, to people to keep them healthier?
Exactly. Unfortunately, that's become the norm, and hopefully that will be something that's changed, and we understand that this movement's important. Positioning, we mentioned ergonomics, making that as optimal as possible, and then allowing for these breaks and encouraging them. Actually, I think in the long term it would be, even though it may not seem like it, in terms of productivity, you probably get more productivity out of people that feel better, and they'll do more work in the amount of time that they are working, and versus making them stay at their desk. So encourage that movement, and let them get up and move.
Replace the old smoke break with an exercise break,
Even if it's just get up and walk around.
Yeah,
I mean,
definitely.
It counts. It all counts.
Oh, definitely. Now, in your business, you not only train athletes, but you train individuals as well, just regular common folk. And I think one of your clients is one of our clients. Isn't Dr. Robin one of your clients? Is that correct?
We're associated with Dr. Robin.
Okay.
Yes, we are. And one of the other trainers in my facility is her personal trainer. Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, because Brenda is friends with Dr. Robin, and and last night I made that connection. I said, oh yeah, I think I've heard you say that as well. Yeah. So, but you work with athletes and you work with individuals, and you've got some unusual and interesting equipment in your facility where you can kind of hang from things. I'm not making it sound
right.
But it suspends you so that you can make certain movements and work on things. And does it pull the weight off of it, and that allows you to do more? Is that what the purpose of it is, or what's the purpose of it?
I think you're referring to the TRX suspension training system. And what that is a leveraged body weight system. It allows you to use any portion of your weight and simple movements like modified pull-ups with your feet on the floor, using your body angle, which is, even though we have video now, we're showing TV, it's very hard to demonstrate without the actual strap.
True. Yeah,
that
true.
is a difficult one, but it's very unique, and it's relatively new, but very valid. We use it a lot. We have a standalone class in which that is the center point, and then I use it for components and portions of training for my athletes and people that I train.
Okay, let's get the information out about SLINKFIT. Where exactly are you located?
5304 Martway. I'm in Mission, Kansas.
Okay, and you've been there for a year and a half?
About a year and a half now, yes.
Yeah, and then your website is
SLINKFIT.com.
SLINKFIT.
That's right.
.com.
Yes.
And I think we've got the information that we're putting up on the TV screen at some point, too.
We're doing some reconstruction there, too, so we've got
Really?
temporary landing page, and we'll have some new things, more video, more photos, and interaction with the new website, hopefully within the month.
Now, in KC Sports and Fitness, you offer a free fitness evaluation when someone, redeems the coupon that we have in there.
Right.
That's one of the things that you can do. So, if people want to get a free fitness evaluation, where do they call?
They call me 816-726-3684, and we set up an appointment, bring in, and we do some basic assessment. It's real simple. We look at how you move first. We like your body composition and all the things that are more classical to a fitness assessment, but we go kind of a step above that often gets overlooked, and we check out your movements, because we know that if you're going to exercise, you want to exercise right, and I will not lay bad pattern or exercise on top of a bad pattern. We've got to make that right, and it's often overlooked, and that can be a contributor to some of the things that we talked about in the show today about the sitting. You've got to move in accordance with how we're designed, and look at what we've done and some of the things that in past injuries and such, and just do it right.
Definitely, and that is one of the keys to having a personal trainer, is they're going to set you up right rather than going to the gym and just going through the machines.
Right. Trained set of eyes.
Because you're not necessarily going to know that you're doing it right.
Exactly.
So, well, thank you, Doug, for joining us. We really appreciate it. Doug Slinker from SLINKFIT. Everybody should check out the coupon that we have in KC Sports for the free fitness evaluation, and use that coupon to see what sitting at your desk is doing for you so that you can you can find out the right things that you should do and get in much better shape. We are going to take a break. You are watching and listening to Good Sports, KC Sports and Fitness and She KC show with Steve Fish and Brenda Van Langen.